There was pouring rain. In the middle of the night, a scream rang out on the estate. The maid hastened to open the door. Seeing a man in a cassock, she spoke. "Hello, priest." The maid immediately led him along. "If you believe the rumors, a demon lives in the Duke Black's family." The guy watched the girl stood in front of the door and spoke. "Madam, a priest came to you." With a tense look, the clergyman thought, "What kind did this demon take?" Opening the door, the maid again turned to the guy. "Get on trembling!" Seeing who you have to deal with, he understood. This demon eventually is Madame Vanessa. A small, fair-haired girl, like an angel, looked at the priest with an innocent look. The pound was very panicked and asked, "Priest, what happened to our baby?" He asked, "Tell me how many years she has been performed this year." The maid answered, 5, and the problem is that from birth she never smiled. It is hard to believe that this child is a demon. It makes no sense. There was definitely some kind of mistake. I believe that my stay here is a sign from the Almighty. He decided to try the simplest method, turning to the girl. "Madam, smile, please." Having lowered her eyes, she asked, "In honor of what should I do this?" The guy answered, "Because everyone is worried about you." Suddenly, the girl did not at all childishly stated, "How tired I am from everything." The maids immediately began to reassure her mother, who began to cry hard. The priest said, "Madame, I want to talk to the mistress. Could you leave us?" Mother silently agreed, while the maid helped her leave the room. What did she mean by the word to get tired? This is not what 5-year-old children usually say. He spoke. "Madam, maybe you have what you cannot tell anyone about? Please tell me. I promise that I will keep your secret. The girl smiled. She looked incredulously at the guy and said, "And the point is to say, if you still do not believe me?" "What are you saying? I believe. And if I blame, then the Almighty will punish me." Averting her eyes, Vanessa thought, "Tired already? You can't get away from him." Suddenly, she looked at the priest with her bright blue eyes. Then she stated, "Okay, if you want it so, then I will tell. I think you know the story of the Scarlet Saint? Scarlet Holy, the very crazy saint who defeated the temple and killed everyone. It was rumored that after this terrible tragedy, she committed suicide. This terrible incident is known to everyone. But what does it have to do with it?" The girl leaned toward the guy and whispered. In fact, hearing her secret, the guy opened his eyes wide and instantly sweated. He looked at the girl dumbfounded, while she lost all interest in the priest. Trembling legs barely held the guy. He walked slowly. Holding on to the cross tightly, he said, "Oh Lord, my God!" A dumbfounded male cry was heard. Mom and maids turned around with fright. A priest who flew out of the room said loudly, "This child is not in his mind. Devil's offspring. What kind of blasphemy is this?" However, Vanessa smiled again, saying, "You see, I said you won't believe it." The dumbfounded priest said, "Definitely obsessed?" He said, "The rumors were true. Lord, have mercy." The girl's mother grabbed the guy by the sleeve. "You seem to understand something wrong." Despite his mission, the clergyman threw the woman. The priest ran headlong while the maids were asked, "Madame, are you all right?" A desperate mother, looking after the guy, said, "Please save our Vanessa." After meeting with the priest, rumors about me began to diverge at the speed of light. Thanks to this, it became calmer. Now no one will get me. After all, this is true. I am cursed. She recalled what she said to the guy. "In fact, I am the same Scarlet Saint. I killed everyone. That's right, I am immortal, who I was not in my 28 lives. For example, the saint, the concubine of the king, the artist, suffered from hunger, and was a cook, slave, prisoner, and even princess. Each time I am reborn. And despite the fact that my personality, parents, circumstances, skills, and appearance are changing, I remember all my previous lives, and I always remain myself. However, I can never become one with myself from a past life." She remembered. "Mommy, Daddy, it's me, Lena. Devil's offspring. How dare you call yourself my daughter, who is no longer alive? Grab it lively and kill it, because a terrible end awaits me. It remains only to endure all the unbearable longing for their children from past lives, and to be mad at madness in your loved one. Moreover, ending the past life and live thoughtlessly in the present. I bring the suffering of my current family. I understand everything perfectly. I understand, but something is left with me to this day. The problem is in my destroyed mind from a past life. And every night nightmares chased in dreams. Black shadows of faceless people with long thin hands. Red-eyed humanoid entities similar to monsters. They cause me unbearable pain and inspire animal fear. Waking up from the next sleep, Vanessa screamed. Waking up in a cold sweat. I would do anything for the sake of freeing from these torment. For me, a new life is another nightmare from which you cannot wake up. Don't come to me. I'm very scared. Can anyone help me? In the middle of the nightmare, the light shone. A pleasant voice asked, "Did you call me?" All the monsters froze, raising their heads. Vanessa also raised her tearful eyes. A man with black wings went down to the girl right from the sky. Vanessa, who was still holding her head, looked at a stranger dumbfounded. A man with ashen hair and red eyes looked sternly at the girl. Devil? In my 29 life, in a dream I met with the devil. From some point, nightmares began to dream every day. Disgusting, vile dreams that I cannot tell anyone about. In a dream, I soullessly kill people, kill a lot. Waking up from sleep, I live with the thought that tomorrow I will again dream of this horror. Looking at her little palms covered with someone else's blood, Vanessa thought, will it become easier for me if I just commit suicide? It will not, because after the next death, I will degenerate again. I went through this many times, so I know that it will be exactly so. Apparently, I will never achieve peace. So it should have been. But today, something has changed. This is not like hallucinations, but then, who is this? Turning a look from a man to the monsters, she was surprised. Do they really run away? The closer the stranger came, the further the shadows moved away. I'll ask you again. Did you call me, girl? What are you talking about? In what sense did I call you? How dare you contact me so dismissive? I can't believe that some little thing called me. I actually did not manage the devil. He, surprised, asked, "How did you know that I was the devil? You have black wings behind your back. If you were an angel, the wings would be white. And in general, what are you doing in my dream?" She looked at him in disbelief. The devil grinned. Looking at the girl, he said briefly, "Daring, baby." Then he went to her and sat down on one knee, smiling affably. A shocked 5-year-old girl did not look up from a man. Looking at his red eyes, she asked herself, "Why is the devil so beautiful?" Then the man gave his voice. "Are you not afraid of me at all?" Vanessa answered, "Not at all." However, her pens trembled. The devil drew attention to her junction, thinking, "It gets more interesting." Then he looked at the monsters. "What kind of?" "Just lower-level demons. What have you done so that they are chasing you?" Turning around, the girl thought nervously, "Are these monsters really real?" The devil grabbed Vanessa by the neck, saying, "You guessed quickly. Your aroma. You smell very tasty." He did not take his eyes off the girl. Frightened, she thought. "Enough! My head is about to burst. It hurts me very much. Please, enough. I said stop. Afterwards, leave me alone." She felt that she was underwater. "I'm choked. Someone help!" It was not a very ordinary dream. Suddenly, she noticed bright light on the surface of the water. "I need to swim towards the world." Having reinforced herself, she made a couple of jerks, grazing the air with his mouth and getting to the shore. Vanessa trembled from the cold. Water drained from her dress while she was trying to recover. Where am I? Is this still a dream? These buildings and children. I am very familiar with this place. It is a shame to me that I myself am to blame for everything. A shocked girl watched the children, who circled around the girl. Without understanding anything, Vanessa opened her eyes wide. My God, it's me from a past life. She did not believe her eyes. Holy Helena, the saint who never lied and did not harm anyone. I prayed for forgiveness for committed mistakes in past lives. She was engaged in charity all her life and devoted herself to God. I firmly believed that in this life, the Almighty would have mercy on me and save me. Suddenly, the girl heard slow steps behind him. The devil, from whom she asked, approached her. "What have you done to me?" "Don't even know. Let's call it a kind of intelligence." The worried Vanessa asked, not understanding what he had in mind. The man answered, "Just explore your memories." Looking again at the past, she asked, "Is this really my memories?" "That is, the person who sits opposite me is the Pope. The person who I unbearably miss," he said. "I believe that you and yesterday dreamed of nightmares. I told you, if it's hard for you, then you can always tell me." The girl answered, "Yes, Holy Father, I'm immensely good at you, Vanessa thought. I could not imagine that I would see you again. He was the only person who understood all my suffering and became a support for me. A second later, the devil hung in the air in the middle of the night in front of a big apart. Sitting on the roof, he silently watched, drawing his conclusions. Despite the fact that he was with me, despite my strong, pure faith, I have not received salvation. Because on this day I killed the Pope. Harana had lunatism. Vanessa watched the girl got out of bed. Realizing the situation, the girl screamed loudly, "Oh no! Wait! I will never let you go!" She blocked the path of Harana. Suddenly, a sleeping girl passed through a 5-year-old girl. Looking after her, Vanessa tried to arouse the lunatic. "Stop!" vividly. A voice was heard. "You can't change anything anyway. I think you yourself guess what I mean." The devil smiled. "This is an event that has already happened. What we observe are only your memories. It took me several years to forget all this horror. And you suggest that I keep watching this silently? I can't." The night that descended onto the city attracted all the inhabitants to go to the world of dreams. Armed knights guarding the church also fell asleep at the post. Trying to keep himself conscious, the guy tried to focus his vision. Suddenly, he noticed a girl flaunting in one pajamas. "Holy, what are you doing here at such a late hour? Run away! I tell you, run!" However, the soldier did not hear the girl. Perplexing, the knight asked the silent girl, but to no avail. Suddenly, with one jerk, a sleeping girl grabbed a saber from a guy's scabbard. He did not have time to figure out anything. He immediately felt pain. In one fell swoop, Hirana struck with cold weapons. Looking at the knight that fell dead, Vanessa screamed, "No!" The girl's face was stained with the blood of an innocent guard. A voice was heard nearby. "Holy, what are you doing?" "Lord God, there is a corpse." Several guards and Pope ran to her. Someone screamed, "The saint killed our knight! This is a riot! To everyone to defend the temple." The knights armed themselves with swords. "To detain the holy!" The girl looked at her reflection through the blade of the sword. Then, with a glass gaze, she examined the audience. There were sounds of massacre and screams. "Slov! She is obsessed with demons!" Having fallen to her knees, Vanessa stained her hands in the blood, thinking, "Enough." She trembled. It was difficult for her to survive this moment again. While Hirana cut out the church nobility, the girl screamed, "Please stop!" One girl with lunatism killed a dozen armed knights and priests. In addition to her, only one clergyman remained alive. The frightened Pope looked at the girl, not understanding her behavior. Behind, Vanessa screamed behind her knees, "Not that! Stop already! I said to whom?" Hiran raised her sword over the guy. Vanessa screamed heartily, "Johann, run!" But he did not hear her. In the end, he looked into the girl's glass eyes. Then he closed his eyes, taking his fate. The sword stuck into the flesh, which caused a stream of tears of Vanessa. On this day, I stopped believing in God, and she was nicknamed the Scarlet Saint. The history of this tragedy originates with my year before last. When I was a knight, I was a group of killers. I had no hope or will to normal life. Someone washed my brains, and my goal was the destruction of the temple. Until my death, I mercilessly killed everyone in my path. In the next life, I became a saint. And she lured all the sins that she committed as a knight. After the saint came to her senses and saw a cruel spectacle in front of him, she could not live with this, went crazy, and eventually committed suicide. Suddenly, Vanessa's enveloped black smoke. She screamed, "What again?" The devil spoke. "The holy killer means." Then he licked his lips. Smiling, the man said only one thing, "Amazing." Suddenly, he stuck the girl by the shoulders, saying, "Baby?" For the first time in a long time, it was so fun. In response, she screamed, "Let me go! Demonic moron! What have you done to me?" Her eyes were full of horror. She began to beat him with her fists on her chest, screaming, "I will kill you!" Suddenly, the girl fell exhausted to the ground, crying out. Tears came to her eyes when she said roughly, "This hell! I will accept this for a compliment." Then he began to calculate something. "Okay, so this is your 29 life, and you have an immortal soul? In any case, I enjoyed delightfully, so I will reward you." He stroked Vanessa on the head. "I will make so that, for a month, you did not dream of nightmares." "I think now you can sleep calmly," she cried. The girl thought, "What kind of nonsense? It doesn't matter. Get out of my sleep." The sun's rays made their way through the windows, awakening all from sleep. Vanessa slowly opened her eyes, squinting from dazzling rays. She lay in shock, looking at the ceiling. She woke up, not shouting. What happened at all? I fell asleep, then I dreamed of nightmares. Then the devil came, and after a while I was cut down. It was strange. The maid spoke. Madam, did you wake up? You have been sleeping for so long, it doesn't look like you at all. Usually you sleep sensitively and often wake up. And today, for the first time, you slept tightly and for a long time. In the body of Vanessa, I have never slept normally. But today, I slept before lunch, and my body does not break, and surprisingly, my head does not hurt. What happened? Suddenly, she remembered the words of the devil. I will make it so that for a month, you did not dream of nightmares. Is it really what he said is true? Did he really save me from nightmares? It was not a hallucination. She hugged the maid, who did not expect this. For the first time, the girl smiled, then she shocked the maid. Every morning, after a good sleep, I began to meet the bright sun. And every morning, my attitude to the devil for the better changed. And my heart ceased to hurt when I remembered Johann. The devil specially climbed into my mind and cured my painful memories. 1 month. He said that only for 1 month he saved me from nightmares. Until the month has passed, I have to meet him again. Despite my desire, he did not appear. Time passed its turn, but I never managed to meet with the devil. Grind 6 worms to a dust state. Add the blood of the chicken to the resulting mass. Then lay out a magic circle from all prepared ingredients. Suddenly, purple fluid in the can exploded loudly. The girl cried out, How hot! It did not work again. I don't even remember what an attempt on a row it is. I thought that this time I would definitely succeed. The matured Vanessa asked herself, where was I mistaken? 600 years ago, one nameless church, which adhered to patriarchal foundations. It did not approve that the witches had the strength, and said that they were damned creatures. As a result, the witch hunt began everywhere, and blood was shed in nothing of guilty people. Subsequently, it turned out that the statement was malicious, and the status of witches was restored. However, by that time, all the witches were already killed. The whole problem was magic and genetics. The family of witches was eradicated. Respectively, new magicians were no longer born. At the moment, there are very few magicians that belong to the Imperial Tower of Magicians, and the remaining of them have great power and strength. In order to get their help, you need a lot of money. But, in general, I do not need their help, because in one of my lives, I was a witch who reached the highest level of magic. Mr. Devil, I devote myself to you. Please conclude a contract with me. The devil's call spell is not complicated, but despite my attempts, he never appeared. There is no sense in general. This devilish moron seems to be somewhere far away. For all the time of the study of the devils, I learned 4 things. Firstly, the uncle live in hell. Secondly, like people, they have a class division. Thirdly, the main source of the food of the devils is the negative energy of people. Fourth, they love contracts, on which people put their souls. We can say this is the only entertainment in their immortal life. In addition, there are many other records of devils. On one of the calm days, the girl said, Have you heard that rumor? The same rumor about a crazy duke? Yes, they say that he can attack our Victoria. Rumor has it that already 10 kingdoms have become the colonies of the empire of that duke. There are rumors that he is obsessed with demons. This world is getting worse. Vanessa silently drank tea, listening to ladies' gossip. You all just talk about it. The slightest rudeness, and the person immediately becomes obsessed. If the devil could appear so easily, she would not be tormented, calling him. She hastened to apologize when she was interrupted. This is for the first time when you're interested in something. No one knows. Maybe our kingdom is really in danger. They answered her. Well, will Victoria fall so easily? True, we have the most advanced and powerful military force. What am I doing here? It is difficult to adapt to others. Vanessa decided to take a walk. Having voiced their wish, the girls were surprised and hastily agreed. Leaving in the middle of the tea party was impolite, but no one can say a word to me. Distant from secular community, disinterested in marriage, a mysterious and inaccessible lady. No matter how you look, the daughter of the Duke is very smart. At this time, the sun warmed the earth, and the light breeze fluttered the leaves of the trees. The Duke is obsessed with a demon. I was asked to come to the tea party, so I came. Who knew that they would have to listen to such stupid gossip? This is definitely nonsense. After all, there is no need to live in the world of people. But if he is really here, then I really want to meet him again. After all, he knows who I really are. At the onset of sunset, somewhere in a distant castle, a voice sounded. Air! From this word turns me. Seeing the lifeless body of a man, the red-haired girl screamed. Brother! The trembling king shouted. Please have mercy on the princess! Floretta vividly bowed to His Highness. This is the only way you can survive. The way you try to save your daughter is a miserable sight. Apparently, you have not heard about the rumors that go about me. Each my bride dies after the first wedding night. You are a devilish spawn. I do not need your damage. So that you fail underground. The Almighty will definitely punish you. The guy, dissatisfied with the speeches, sitting on the throne, said, Badur. The new ruler should only wave his hand. His order was understood without words. The man, whose name was Badur, Miggs, grabbed the saber from the scabbard. The dumbfounded princess screamed frantically, seeing the blade in front of her face. His own daughter was deprived of his head in front of the king. He screamed, Floretta! Seeing the despair of his father, the guy licked himself, feeling pleasure. Insignificance. I want more acute, exciting sensations. For example, like that baby from the past. He remembered Vanessa. The king fell in front of the devil, dropping the crown under his feet. Without saying anything, the brunette with red eyes raised a symbol of power. Is the kingdom of Victoria a lot of beautiful girls? I need to find a couple for each of my knights. King, bring to all noble families. Invite unmarried noble ladies. Join the procession of returning to the Empire of Albric. Someone ran very quickly, ignoring the eyes of passers-by. With twisted paper in his hands, the man desperately knocked on the door of the house. Entering the house, he screamed, Duke Blake! It happened terrible! The palace was captured by the Duke of Isaac from Alberic. The same devil from rumors? An interest began to play in the girl. While the Duke's procession was walking on horses, two were conducted by a dialogue. Why had to reach this? The murder of the king's daughter and the abduction of women. You start again. In the old days, everything was much worse. Is he going to find all women on the continent? Looking at the Duke, the interlocutor thought. Maybe he is intentionally looking for someone? The Duke of Isak was the same devil that Vanessa once helped. In the night, in the middle of the forest, screams were heard. Where did he go? Look for vividly, he is still alive. This is a treason, I have to tell His Majesty about it. Stumbling on a stone, a bloodied and wounded guy fell to the ground. Suddenly, black feathers began to crumble on the body of an unconscious guy. The devil in his angelic image went down to the ground. He carefully examined the wounded, lifeless man. Turning over the guy, he said aloud, I will stop, perhaps on this. The devil's face found a purple hue, and the guy's soul began to leave the body. The man read the letter. The royal palace is destroyed, and the king was captured. The crown prince and even the princess died, and everything got out of control. The worried Vanessa watched the expression of the Duke's face. She decided to give a voice. Father? The man unconsciously twitched. Suddenly, the blonde noticed a girl next to her, who was also worried. Stell, what happened? Right, tell me that I know what to prepare for, she answered. They say that all unmarried girls from noble families are taken to the Alberic Empire. And also, if at the festival, for 3 days, the Duke will not be able to find the bride, the whole clan will be destroyed. The question was heard. Vanessa, what should we do? She thought. If you do not marry him, he will destroy us. If I were an ordinary noble daughter from a noble family, this situation would be very humiliating for me. However, once I was a slave to which they were worse than cattle. Letting go of his mother's hand, the youngest son cried out, Sister, I will not let you in. Her brother hugged the girl tightly, sobbing, I will mock you. What is the point of maintaining your social situation then? Better run away somewhere far tonight. I heard that the Duke is a very radical person. Even if I run away, he will not leave the family alone. But I can't let you go there. Sakar trembled, looking at his sister. If we knew that it would happen, we would have given you married as soon as possible. Like your eldest daughter. Forgive us, daughter. We are very sorry. Vanessa answered. No need to apologize. After all, I rejected all the proposals. Do not worry about me. While I will be there, our family will be safe. The head of the family was vibrantly said. We are very ashamed, daughter. Well, you trust me and just wait a bit. The maids were whispering. Will everything be all right? Don't even know. I heard that people in that empire are like savages. Our poor lady. Vanessa, listening to them, was nervous for a second. The next day, the girl carefully collected things in a suitcase. Thinking about her own, she carefully folded all her dresses. Departure is already tomorrow. It makes no sense to hesitate. What happened will disappear. Vanessa began to create a spell. In front of her, a portal appeared in the room. I created this place in order to call the devil. Just in case, I will better get rid of it. If someone learns about this, then my family will be taken for heretics, which will put their life in jeopardy. Looking at the burning books and other devices, she thought, is that enough? I am not worried and not afraid. I am sure that wherever I go, I will survive. But I thought that, in this life, I would live like an ordinary person. But in the end, everything turned out differently. Vanessa is my name in this life. I even like it. I am echoing the daughter of the Duke, who does not need anything. I have a family who loves and values me very much. Everything is perfect. The girl laid on the bed, briefly covering her eyes. Before her eyes flashed the image of the devil from a long sleep. I even met once with the devil. It seems impossible to meet again. The girl decided to spend the last night in the house with her family. Stroking her daughter on the cheek, her mother said, Vanessa, remember? How did you not smile at all in childhood? We were very sad. We did not know how to make you happy. But on your 5th birthday, you smiled for the first time. Then the girl joyfully waved her parents. Mom continued, I think we were in the 7th heaven with happiness. Vanessa, you are the whole treasure for us. The girl was ready to bury. Then I was very ashamed of my parents for my egoism. Therefore, I just began to pretend to be a good child. Mother said, My beloved daughter, take care of yourself. Father did not sleep and listened to their conversation. Parents who are worried about me and my brother Sakar. For the sake of this family, I'm even ready to sacrifice myself. The next morning, Sakar woke up alone. Wiping his eyes, he began to look around and ask, Sister? Then he jumped, realizing that he was sleeping for too long. Without hesitation, he ran to the window, looking for his sister. Seeing the harnessed carriage, the guy cried out, Sister, no, do not leave! Without wasting time, he ran into the yard with all his feet. However, he did not have enough minute. The carriage has already departed from the mansion. The frustrated was not only Sakar. His parents also allowed a tear for their daughter. Vanessa, sitting in a carriage, also experienced a sense of loss. Being next to other girls, Vanessa thought, Goodbye, my family. The wagon in which we set off went without stopping for more than a month. The longer we drove, the harder it became for us. We were in terrible conditions. We followed us every hour and did not allow us to wash. The food was difficult to call food. They even put the larvae there. Nobody forces you. If you do not want, do not eat. The nobility of the knights did not apply to ladies who were traveling from ruined states. They were rude enough, because of which they cried every night. There were even those who fell ill and died due to the fact that no one treated them. This night was indisputable for Vanessa. She dreamed of a mishmash from the past. Being exhausted, the girl heard a scream. We arrived in the Empire! Despite the lack of strength, she got up and looked out the window. At the same moment, the girl seemed to see and blossomed. The graceful and magnificent Empire Alberic was visible very close. After several centuries, I returned here again. Alberic became much more beautiful than when I was here last time. The knights conducted a conversation. Which of the girls think the most beautiful? The meaning is in beauty, if even after a month, they will not be able to say a word in our language. Well, you are a bore, Eric. What kind of training can we talk about if no one paid attention to them? The Duke ordered to return to the Empire faster. Better go tell these doomers that we have according to plan. Since today, we celebrate the day when our ancestors entered the Empire land. You are allowed to relax and wash today. The girls cried out, Wash in front of you, Pinez? You were allowed to wash, but you still don't like something. Let them do what they want. Do not pay attention to them. Vanessa went to the stream and began to draw water in her hand. Feeling a pleasant coolness, she began to wash the visible parts of the body. The girl decided not to undress, but in any case, put herself in order. I already remember when the last time I washed normally. Suddenly, she heard, By the way, about the Duke. It seems that his facial expression and behavior have changed. If we compare with what it was a couple of years ago, it seems that the character has changed. Yes, before he was cute and polite. They answered him. Oh, he pretended 100%. Forgot about the struggle for the throne? If someone caught my eye, then he would no longer be alive. After that incident, he became the supreme commander of the group of heavenly knights. This proves that he initially had a strong temper. Didn't he become too cruel? It's true. He enjoys murders without any purpose. It turns out that he did all this exclusively for the sake of entertainment. Are the rumors that the Duke is the devil is true? Despite the fact that there is no guarantee that he is the same devil whom I am looking for, I think I still need to meet him. Suddenly, she noticed that the soldier was looking in her direction. The guy shuddered, looking into her eyes, thinking, "This girl. It seems to understand the imperial language." He involuntarily said it out loud. Another knight asked, "What? Who?" He immediately answered, "Nothing, it seemed probably." Driving along the city streets, the girls heard, "Welcome to the Empire of Albric. Ladies who arrived from Victoria, stand in one line after another, and follow the servant. You are held to your rooms." How infuriates! They still do not understand us. You were told to get up one after another. This maid is so arrogant. We should remember her. Rising to the upper part of the mansion, the knight said, "Ladies, this is your new home." The girls saw in front of them an empty room showered with sleeping bags. What a mess. "Do I need to thank because at least they gave the blanket?" The maid said. "If you have already examined, gather everything near us. Now we will call your names. As soon as you hear your own, raise your hand." Farin is the eldest daughter of Prince Luke. Cross is the second daughter of the Count of Dint. Vanessa is the second daughter of the Duke Black. The girl raised her hand. A whisper was heard. "She is the same daughter of the Duke about whom rumors went." The maid said, "The roll call is over. We go to the next point. You all already know that from today, celebrations in the Empire will begin. His Highness kindly gave you everything you need to prepare. You can choose the clothes and accessories you like. That's all. We will leave you." The maids left the room. Complete ignorance. How can you prepare for the celebration in this situation? They just use us now. What are we going to do now? First, we need to survive everything. Therefore, let's do what they said. One of the girls began to spin their head nervously, looking around. Seeing Vanessa, she shouted, delighted, "Daughter of the Duke Black! Princess Seraphine?" The blonde was delighted to see a familiar face. "Hearing your name, I immediately began to look for you. I was worried that something could happen to you. But now, seeing you, I am very glad that you are in order. Do not want to choose a dress with me? Still, we will be with potential husbands. Therefore, it is worth dressing up." Vanessa answered, "It seems late to choose something." Others pretend that they are indifferent, but in fact they see a competitor in each of us. Most likely there are no good dresses for us. Then the girl turned her head, paying attention to something. "Seraphina, do you see that green dress?" She, misunderstood, agreed. "I think this dress is suitable for you, princess. Brighter take it while this is possible." "Thank you. Can I find out the reason why it suits me?" Vanessa said. "You have a very attractive and calm aura. A muffled green color will emphasize your elegance. You also have a miniature upper part and more rounded lower. So this dress will well emphasize your advantages and hide the disadvantages. Can another dress suit you as perfect as it?" Looking at the dress, Seraphina answered joyfully, "And you are right! And the size is also mine. How did you get directly to the point?" The blonde smiled awkwardly. "I have a hint of my eye. In one of my lives, I was a famous clothing designer. At that time, ladies from the highest strata of society turned to me. I also need to look for something, so I will leave you." Seraphina was delighted. "I like this dress so much." Vanessa answered, "I was glad to help." Other girls watched their dialogue with interest. Suddenly, Vanessa heard a call behind. "Sorry." Two young girls approached her, not knowing how to start a conversation. "Vanessa, if you have a minute, can you please advise us something?" "Certainly." The girls immediately stood in line, asking for help. At the same time, she thought, "Here, I don't like being in the spotlight." All the ladies immediately began to delight. "I really like it. Do you have a diamond's eye, right? How did you choose a dress so suitable for me? You have done a great job, but have not chosen anything for yourself." The tired Vanessa answered, "Yes, you have to go look." Taking the fabric in her hands, the blonde reasoned, "It looks good. Serafina looked at the girl with undisguised surprise. When she came up, the princess cried out, "Vanessa, you are so beautiful!" The girl spoke. Wow, was there such a dress? Rumors that she is insanely beautiful turned out to be true. You can say for sure who will become the main character in today's celebration, the servant said. If you finished dressing up, hurrying into the banquet hall, everything eased. Why rush? Apparently, the Duke arrived earlier than expected. The Duke will be with us from the very first day? I didn't think that I would meet him so soon. Suddenly, Vanessa froze, feeling something was amiss. What about me? Why is it shaking me like that? This was not there before. A loud voice announced, "His Highness arrived, Duke Isak." People took to the streets to see a man with their own eyes. Going down the horse, he looked around the crowd and smiled. Then he froze, feeling something familiar, but at the same time new. The devil mentally studied the situation, trying to find out the reason. At the same time, Vanessa tried to calm the trembling in the body. Meanwhile, the maid said in the castle, "Your Majesty Empress, His Highness arrived, Duke Isak. You need to hurry." The woman answered, "Wait a minute." And she corrected the hairstyle. Looking at herself in the mirror, she announced, "That's it, I'm ready." When a woman came out, the maid announced, "Her Majesty Empress arrived." She immediately turned to a man. "Duke!" He turned to a call. The Empress was delighted when he paid attention to her. Then she spoke. "Congratulations on the holiday. You are the pride of our empire. You were absent for a long time, I worried about you. But you, on the contrary, look very solid and courageous." There was an awkward silence. No one dared to say at least a word. Outrageous! The emperor suffered from illness for 5 years, and she already laid her eyes on the duke. If then the attempt on the duke passed successfully, suddenly Isak looked at the man, as if he could read his thoughts. Seeing the frightening face of the duke, the man was enveloped in fear. How frightening he is! It feels like he reads my thoughts. Suddenly, Isak drew his attention to some. Behind the empress was a young guy in a solemn suit. Smiling, the duke said, a chilling soul, "Crown Prince." A fair-haired boy shuddered instantly, being clearly scared. Isak said, "You and I have not seen each other for a long time, but, as I see, you did not miss your uncle at all?" In a trembling voice, the prince answered, "Well, what are you? Congratulations to you, uncle." Smiling, the devil answered in the image of Isak, "Thank you, the crown prince." Then he went to the guy and put his hand on his shoulder. "I missed you. I hope you know how much I value you and how I rely on you. My dear nephew." Without blinking, the prince trembled, and tears were full of eyes. However, the duke continued to smile, obviously enjoying the fear of his nephew. Then he released the boy, and he headed away from those present. The frozen boy could not move. They shouted to him, "Come to your senses, prince!" The devil licked his lips. Although a little, he was able to feast on the fear of the child. Isak turned to the servant. "The celebration has already begun?" He nodded. The banquet hall sparkled, as if covered with gold, and the tables burst with food. The pleasant music of the violins and cells spread throughout the huge room. Some couples that managed to form have already circled in the dance. Suddenly, the music fell silent, and everyone turned their heads to the entrance. Vanessa looked at Seraphine, not understanding what she was staring at. "Vanessa, you look at all you feel good." "Yes, everything is in order. Do not worry." She tried not to show a look. "What was it?" "Though now everything is fine with me, but what happened still bothers me. Now my main goal is to meet with the Duke. I need to make sure if he is really the devil or not." Suddenly, an unfamiliar female voice called to her, "Madam Vanessa, I heard a lot about you by rumors, and finally met you personally." Despite the fact that she only turned to her, she thought, "I am already tired of it. Just don't say you don't know me." It was Ayla, the daughter of the Duke of Logan. She was the most beautiful girl in Victoria, until her title moved to me. Countless invitations to the celebrations came to me from her family. I believed that they invited me not with the kindest intentions, so I said that I was sick. Vanessa said, "I know you, Ayla, the daughter of the Duke of Logan. Did you want to tell me something?" "No, it is simply amazing that you are present here in complete health, although you were constantly sick. I recently recovered, thanks for worrying." "Why are you so unhappy? Everything is written on your face. You need to try at least a little if you want to maintain the status of the Duke Black. Do you really behave so arrogantly because you want to find a groom here?" "What to do? even if the most mediocre knight does not look at the way you. What is she trying to achieve this circus performance? Such nitpicking does not catch me at all. Indeed, in past lives I came across this. At the time when I was a countess, I had to be in the spotlight at the events. How did I even stand all the oblique looks and intrigues in my direction? If I said verbally with all the envious people, then my voice would have broken me. There is nothing good in such showdowns, but it would be nice to teach her a lesson. Madam Vanessa, I'm really worried about you. After all, this is the place where they will choose us. The blonde interrupted her. All that you said before will choose very badly. If a knight does not choose me, then I will go and choose him. As if you were in no hurry. The marriage between the beloved is for life. I do not think that caution in such a case is the subject of ridicule. I feel that everyone began to look in our direction. Thank you for your concern, but I ask you not to be interested in me anymore. And something else. Earlier you said about knights such words as mediocre and inconspicuous, but do not think that all the knights in the empire do not know our language. Stunned by such a statement, Ayla wanted to answer something, but she was again interrupted. Madam, it will be better if you end there and will not continue this kindergarten. But if I find out once again what you are talking about me or my family behind me, I will not leave it just like that. Ayla and her friends were dumbfounded. Other ladies whispered, "Let's get out of here." And Serafina said, "You are so cool." At that moment, steps were heard at the door to the banquet hall. Servants in unison opened the door, letting the Duke of Isak. Suddenly, behind me, Vanessa heard, "His Highness Duke Alberic, Isak!" The girl turned slowly and uncertainly. This moment has come. Looking at the man, she froze with wide eyes. The man, entering the hall, also felt a familiar aroma. The Duke entered the hall with his retinue. Everyone had an indifferent expression on the face. Vanessa carefully examined the appearance of the Duke. She could not look away from a man, hanging her mouth. Is he the Duke of Isak? As soon as I saw him, I immediately realized. He is an ultimately devil. There are several secrets on this mainland that ordinary people do not know about. One of these secrets. The greater the power, the more it is structurally individual. Strength can manifest itself not only in physical and magical skills, but also in appearance. When forces reach a high level, they allow you to find out about the abilities of another person. Therefore, the more capable and stronger a person, the more attention he attracts. People whispered, "This is the Duke himself. Did I really see the Commander-in-Chief? I thought he would come on the last day. Is this handsome the same cruel Duke? What got up? Pull your head, Lively!" However, no one paid attention to the knight. His Highness will not linger here for a long time. Do not focus on him attention. This event is dedicated to the memory of the one in the war. We hope you find brides. Suddenly, a loud voice rang out across the hall. Wait! All guests, including the Duke, drew attention to Vanessa. With a serious look, she looked into Isak's eyes, trying to attract attention. Smiling, the man said, "You have incredible power. Did he feel my strength? So, there is a chance that he is the same devil. You need to get even closer to make sure. 2 guards who stand near the Duke weaker than me. The man behind looks strong, but like the other 2, weaker than me. It turns out that no one will hinder me." She began to walk to the Duke. The guard was the first to react the closest to Vanessa. With one deft movement, he pulled the saber from the scabbard. From the ringing became, all the guests gasped and froze. However, Vanessa did not even take his eye towards the blade. Suddenly, the guard said, "What a rudeness! Do not dare to approach. Strive back." But the girl looked only into the eyes of the Duke. The knight did not calm down. "What are you standing? Graduate quickly." Suddenly, Vanessa appeared in the head of the Duke as a 5-year-old girl. He also remembered that girl and what he received from her, in return for a calm dream. Isak, looking at the girl standing in front of the tip of the saber, asked, "Baby?" The guard with an elongated sword turned around, looking at the master. "This is really he." Vanessa smiled and said, "Your Highness, do you allow me to invite you to dance?" She looked intently into his eyes, waiting for an answer. The surprised Duke grinned loudly, examining the girl. Putting his hands on his side, the man began to laugh even louder. A second later, his laughter lit up the whole hall. The guests were shocked. Vanessa was also inconsistent with such a reaction. How possible? A very interesting turn of events. Putting his hand on his chin, he added, "I even like it. Well, let's dance together." He looked thoughtfully at the girl. The faithful knight immediately hid the saber back into the sheath. The Duke went to Vanessa and held out his hand, inviting to the dance. She smiled slightly, rejoicing that she found him. The man answered her with a smile, surprised by the events. Vanessa slowly laid her hand in his open palm. A second later, they were already spinning in the dance, not taking their eyes off each other. "And what are you going to do now?" He was interested in the answer. "I'm going to pretend that I fell in love with you at first sight." Stunned guards turned to the musicians. "What are you sitting? Play vividly." They answered guiltily. "Fine." And the music returned to the hall again. High notes of violins flew throughout the room, forcing everyone to return to dancing. Some couples joined the Duke and his companion. 2 times on the left side, twice in the right. Vanessa recalled the movement. Step back, step forward. We merged in a dance under the rhythm of excellent music. The lady from the fallen kingdom and the Duke from the victorious empire. How is it ironic? But there is what no one knows, the fact that we hide a huge secret. Isak smiled sweetly. With an elegant movement, the Duke spun the girl. "You dance very well. Is it really because you learned this in your past life? You also moved very skillfully. I wonder if all the devils dance so well." Having grinned such a knuckle, he answered, "Don't even know." With a sharp movement, the Duke grabbed the girl by the waist. Looking into her eyes, he said, "But still, I think that not all. How long I have been waiting for this moment. If I miss him, I definitely will not see him anymore. I need to get its location in any way. I know that you are constantly hungry, and that I'm special for you. Together with you, we can become excellent partners. I will become a toy for you that can color your boring everyday life. You will never regret it. In one of my lives, I was the Emperor's mistress. Therefore, I know how to get the location and appease the noble persons. An impeccable appearance and luxurious dress are a small part of what can be attracted. To get the location, you need to reach a new level." Suddenly, the devil began to slowly approach Vanessa's face. "You are still bold, and after all, has not changed at all." The girl was surprised to listen to the Duke's speech, who almost whispered, "Come here in 2 days." Then he let her go, heading for the exit. "I'm leaving for the palace." The guards immediately answered in unison. "Okay, Your Highness. I have only 3 days. I will do anything. If only he agreed to a deal with me. As I thought, the Duke is actually the devil. And not just the devil, but my devil." His face immediately surfaced before his eyes. After the Duke left the hall, the guests returned to dancing and communication. Suddenly, someone grabbed Vanis by the hand and dragged him aside. Having started the girl around the corner, she asked Seraphine, "Vanessa, what have you planned? The Duke Isak captured our state. Have you forgotten about it? How can you forget about it?" She looked at her friend with a cold look. "Moreover, if we cannot get married, then he will deprive our families of titles. Anyway, there are rumors that he is the devil, and you danced with him. And now no ordinary soldier will be able to get closer to you. Princess Seraphine, are you really worried about me?" she cried out. "Of course, how can I not worry in such a situation? Do not worry, His Highness became interested in me. Therefore, I think, on the contrary, interest in me will increase. Do you think that the knights will be embarrassed to get closer to me? In this case, I myself will personally take the first step towards them. I believe that there are no self-confident knights who will reject me." A shocked Seraphina launched, "I didn't mean that. I understand perfectly what the princess wants to say. She says that the Duke is an enemy of our motherland. The Duke killed many people, and even killed the princess and the prince. Of course, you have the right to act as you think. After all, you are always right. Princess, we are now being held here literally as captives. But if among us at least one had power and power, the attitude towards us would change. I really don't know if I can become such a defender." She looked displeased at the princess, who misunderstood her. After which, Vanessa turned and went back to the hall. All that I just said was a hypocrisy and nothing more. In general, Seraphine was right, and I now want to get closer to the Duke. I have long forgotten what patriotism means, due to the fact that every time I was reborn in a new country, suddenly, someone's familiar voice attracted Vanessa's attention. She noticed the maid that she had previously grunted with displeasure on the girls. "The most arrogant girl? Sorry, could you come for a second?" "Certainly. Did you want to tell me something?" And she thought, "Does she know our language? Here, besides you, is there any other servant? Madam, you are so officially addressing me. Speak informally with me." It is strange that you are so polite with me now. For yesterday you were expressed in a different way. The maid cried out. Sorry, Sinful. I thought no one knows our language among you. Vanessa said. Is there a rule that it is necessary to be rude to those who do not know the language? Do not apologize to me. Sorry to the girls, but I don't know if they will forgive you. The maid answered. But they will not understand the words. Suddenly a voice was heard. What noise? Turning around, Vanessa saw another maid. They have the same shape. Is this maid the daughter of the older maid? It is clear where the rudeness comes from. The eldest voted. Madam, for what reason do you have a conversation with my subordinate? I said, despite the fact that we are from a fallen state, does not mean that we can be rude. Do not the Empire remove the maids who neglect the rules? How do you know about this? Vanessa thought. I know that. Since in one of his past lives she was a servant in the Empire. Vanessa said, Does His Majesty approve of your rudeness towards us? The eldest answered, Number His Highness ordered you to provide a warm welcome to you. The girl asked, It turns out that you should properly punish this maid? The maid said, I scold her for rude appeal. Have mercy and accept my apologies. For ladies from Victoria, we will provide the best rooms. We will increase the number of servants, as well as I personally control the attitude towards you, Vanessa said. Another thing, what is your name? She answered. I'm Amy. Passing by a rude maid, the girl said. I remembered you. The maid silently escorted Vanessa with a shocked look. She placed the Duke to her, so now she dispels the servant. She is clearly not an ordinary person. At the moment, the place of the Duchess is still vacant. But what if this unusual mistress takes this place? After that day, the attitude to the ladies from Victoria changed. Our new rooms were very luxurious and comfortable. The power was also at the highest level. No one complained. Moreover, we were provided with new dresses and accessories. Your Highness, I did not think that in these 2 words it is hidden so much. Suddenly, 2 girls approached her. Vanessa, will you not try on outfits? The other supported. We brought us a lot of beautiful dresses. I am now busy reading. A little later I will try on something. She was told. Thanks to you, life in the Empire has become more comfortable. Thank you. Suddenly, another familiar voice called out to the girl. She asked, Princess Seraphine? She answered, I should not have told you this. With obvious excitement and trepidation, she added, Forgive me. Without waiting for an answer, the princess ran away from the room. Everything happened so quickly that Vanessa did not have time to understand what happened. The Duke's daughter thought and smiled involuntarily. At the same time, the tailor spoke. Could you raise your hand a little? The Duke immediately complied with the decree. The young guy barely kept himself in his hands, so as not to faint from fear. He said, The costume you want to order, how to tell you? The Duke interrupted him. You must have not heard. I said sew me exactly the same costume that the Emperor wears. At that moment, the guards of the Duke entered the workshop. The guy could not but execute the order. Looking at himself in the mirror, the devil licked his lips. It tastes disgusting. No one can overshadow that baby. He immediately introduced Vanessa. It will be completely uninteresting if I enjoy her at once. After all, the pleasure of delicious food should be stretched. On the same day, soldiers were training on the parade ground. Out of all, 3 nights were quiet. Have you heard what rumors go? Everyone began to listen with interest. At the celebration, His Highness danced with some girl. They screamed in response. But until now, he has not danced with anyone. But maybe he fell in love with her at first sight? At this time, the Duke lay on the sofa near them. Looking at him, the soldiers thought, is this possible? An asshole knight sat near the guys to wipe the shoes. Suddenly, he noticed a few curious eyes on himself. Rising, he asked his colleagues, what were hatched? Erkin, have you seen a girl dancing with His Highness? How is she? Beautiful? Instead of thinking about such nonsense, it would be better to train. He gave his first dance to the girl from the captured state. Doesn't it seem to you that she does not suit him in status? Like a fleeting hobby. Suddenly for everyone. The Duke asked thoughtfully, Maybe I can marry. A question scream of dozens of soldiers was heard throughout the parade ground. The soldiers whispered, Shouldn't someone stop him? But who laughs? Fucked up? If I die, will you take responsibility? Erkin spoke. Did you ask what the Duke is a person? Once the artist painted a card. Herzk threw a dart. and he ordered the artist to erase from the map the country in which he got. Therefore, if you want to live, then you need to dutifully agree with him. Sorry, friend, who almost sent you to death. Then let's argue, how much will that girl die? I put the condition on the first wedding night. I put that she will die before the wedding. Erkin could not stand it. Idiots, follow your tongue! Suddenly, a long-haired knight stopped, noticing a lone figure. Approaching the soldier, he asked, Nest, what did you think about? For a few seconds, he silently looked at the colleague. Then he said, I want to accompany a person who will be stronger than me. Without understanding anything, Erkin asked, What does it mean? Nest answered, I hope the next duration will be stronger than me. They heard the comments of other soldiers. Did he set about his own? This is not because he is a commoner who has not learned anything. A dreaming knight did not pay attention to the dumping of the soldiers. I wonder if he himself understands what he is talking about. Often knights are divided into 5 different levels. In the past, there was a group of black knights with a bad reputation. Now the strongest group of heavenly knights, they are mentors of other knights. And Nest enters the 5 strongest heavenly knights. That's just the fact that he wants to serve the Duchess, who will be stronger than him, is stupid. That girl probably didn't even hold a sword in her hands, one of the knights whispered. Erkin, why are you listening to this nonsense? Holding the sword in his hands, Nest raised himself and declared, If it went to that, if she overcome at least one of our knights, then I recognize her strength. Suddenly, Erkin cried out, The mouth's closed. Return to training. In another distant place, at the stake, there was a vat of liquid. A trembling man with dirty pitchfork in his hands tried to fight off someone. He screamed in horror from the fact that the fire began to leave the fireplace. Then he screamed, I think it was your fault, all because you betrayed me. Licking up, the illuminous girl said. How not tasty. All this happened in the castle of demons, which was in Dali from mortals. This boring world of demons. This was said by Ravaya, a demon aristocrat. They only do that they sleep, are also called demons aristocrats. The world of people is in impression, while they cannot worship their god. How infuriates! Everything got out, everything bored. Devil, where did you go? Suddenly, Adele, a greedy demon, an aristocrat, looked. Ravia, why are you looking for a deceased devil? She asked in shock. Can't be? Just took it and died? If not died, then why is our world for more than 1,000 years unattended? The devil's world came to an end, because there is no one who would like to become a king. It cannot be. Seriously, no one wants to? Adele said. I forgot how the previous king was torn to pieces during the uprising. In the world of people, there is a rumor that the imperial duke is obsessed with a demon. Who do you think? Who is it? If you are so curious, why don't you meet him? For several seconds, she looked at the demon with misunderstanding. Then she asked, And what? It was possible? Interesting. Without thinking twice, she disappeared right in front of Adele, leaving him alone. She is very strange. The nose is poured everywhere. With these thoughts, he got up. Then he reached out and said, I'd better go further to sleep. Passing along the corridors, he noticed a familiar figure sitting on the floor. A demon with lowered wings sat near the wall alone. It was a baron, a demon aristocrat responsible for the thirst for murder. How much time has grown from the moment I stopped killing? It seems that the woman was the last. It was Vanessa in a life before last. Clutching his hand into a fist, the baron said, People are too simple. Maybe I also go up to the world of people? Or become the king of demons? The killer girl associated with steel chains hung above the floor. Her whole body trembled with pain, and drops of blood fell to the floor. Some man pulled her hair, but she saw only a vague silhouette. Opening her eyes, Vanessa woke up with tears in her eyes. Grabbing her chest, she realized that her heart was knocking furiously. In the middle of the night, she thought, still trembling. Again that nightmare. At the onset of the morning, the girl looked killed and exhausted. I don't remember the last time I calmly slept. I'm anxious. Perhaps because I had not dreamed of that past life for a long time. The life of the night was like hell. In that life, in childhood, at that time, I was abducted by the head of the Black Knights, which on the mainland were known as a group of killer knights. After that, they kept me locked up. Under the guise of training, they washed my brains. And also every day, I went through brutal training. Despite the fractures and my heart torn to shreds, I did everything that they would order. The only goal of my life was to kill. I got up on the rank and became the right hand of the leader. Living in the life of a knight, I began to hate the leader who brought me here. But I could not resist him. Therefore, she continued to kill. The reason I suffer now is that every night in a dream, as many monsters come to me as I killed people while I was a knight. They run after me, tearing my body into shreds and eat me. If someone offers me to live the life of a knight again, that, of course, I will refuse. I do not want to meet a person again, turning my life into hell. This warm morning revealed the last day of the celebration. 25 couples of newlyweds formed, who will already have weddings tomorrow. The age difference between guys and girls is an average of 14 years. In general, not surprising. Who in such a situation will look for true love? They simply decided to go to each other to meet and agree on a marriage. The knights receive a dowry from the bride's family, and the ladies retain their status. For example, the second daughter of the count is Louise. She is very smart, and wisely chose a fairly stately partner. On the other hand, we observe a more gloomy picture. Apparently, she is very unhappy that she marries an ordinary knight. They all behave like that because they know nothing about the empire. The number of knights from the common people is increasing, and the authority of ordinary knights decreases. However, the empire, as a rule, prefers talented people. If someone is able to reach a high position in another state, it is likely that here he will be an ordinary knight. Therefore, do not judge people by external signs. But this is not my business. Suddenly, the princess ran to the thoughtful girl. Vanessa asked, "Princess Seraphine, did something happen?" She answered nervously, "In general, I just signed a prenuptial agreement." They turned their heads. In the direction of the princess waved a well-fed soldier. Having reduced my standards, I managed to find a suitable person. If not for this situation, then she would have gone for the status suitable for her. She is still very young. How much is she? 17? It's good that her newly made groom at least looks young, Serafina said. Do you know that an hour has left until the end of the celebration? Vanessa thought. Now is not the time to worry about others. I know. And I remember that if I do not find a partner, I will lose my status, the worried princess asked. Are you waiting for His Highness? The Duke's daughter cast a cursory glance towards the guests. Maybe I was too self-confident? That it was a way out. Marry him. Then he will save me from nightmares. Plus, I would retain the status. Where did I get this confidence at all? He is generally the devil. Nevertheless, I think it would be nice to be a little to be safe. One of the knights sitting on the sofa felt a look on himself. On the other half of the hall, Vanessa carefully watched them. X! Does that girl take a chance at you by chance? He did not understand. The colleague pointed to her. The one who danced with His Highness. The ex tried to make out where his interlocutor pointed. Of all the remaining idle knights, he is more or less nothing. The dumbfounded guy blushed instantly and immediately embarrassed. He thought, how much time has passed? How did the girl flirted with me? There is little time left. Will the Duke appear, or will you have to approach the knight? Vanessa waited dutifully, but less than 5 minutes remained. Not daring to wait anymore, she headed towards the exi. Holding the dress, the girl confidently went to her goal. The knight immediately began to encourage Exi. She goes to you! However, unexpectedly for everyone, the door of the hall opened. The voice announced, His Highness Duke Alberic, Isak! The man with his retinue slowly entered the hall, looking around the guests. The delighted Vanessa, looking at him, thought, Came. She carefully looked in his face, waiting for a response. With his severe gaze, he also stopped on the girl's face. Vanessa thought, we must smile as if nothing was unprecedented, as if I did not expect him at all. He went to her. Suddenly, the first thing he did was touched her cheeks. Then he smiled sweetly at her, looking straight into his eyes. She was shocked. Had to wait long? This was the first that he asked. Still a couple of minutes, and I would lose my status. Don't you like dramas? For example, about the salvation of the princess from danger, she thought. He said beautifully, but because of whom I am now in this danger. In addition to you, not a single knight came up to me. It seems that none of the people felt your charm. They are just afraid that they will not be able to cope with me. The Duke asked, What did you imagine about yourself? She answered, How what? Don't you understand what I mean? She pressed his hand to her cheek. He watched the actions and behavior of Vanessa with surprise. Suddenly, he moved away from the girl, which puzzled her. The devil looked around all the guests, after which he said, "Okay." The next second, the Duke called one of the servants. The guy immediately kneeling, asking, "Caused?" The distortion ordered, "Suppose the extension of the celebration for a day. Are you going to come at the very end of the evening again? Well, what are you? It would be too predictable for you. Instead, I want to pick you up somewhere." Vanessa was surprised. A rich carriage of the wheel on the road, warmed by the sun. Vanessa rode with the servant of the Duke, recalling their dialogue. "Tomorrow I will send people for you. I want to talk elsewhere. After all, here, you yourself understand. There are a lot of extra eyes with a slice. I wonder where they take me." This question does not give rest. Vanessa glanced briefly out the window. Thoughts in her head were confused. Suddenly the carriage stopped. The coachman announced, "We are in place." The girl took an uncertain step from the carriage, trying to get together with her thoughts. She immediately froze, seeing who came to meet her. The Duke in a white suit stood in front of the door, having handed his hand. Smiling at Vanessa, he said in a sweet voice, "Finally." The embarrassed girl blushed. Isak asked, "Are you going to go down?" Vanessa, having come to life, answered, "I'm going down," and held out his hand. Having made a curtsy, she said, "Greetings, Your Highness. I did not think that he would personally meet me. What is he planning?" Turning, he turned to the Duke's daughter. "Went." Without letting go of his hand, she asked with interest, "Where?" However, he did not answer and silently led her somewhere.